Wrestling is full of tragic stories, but it never gets easier for fans to bid farewell to their favorites. In 2024, we had to say our final goodbyes far too many times. The Macedonian madman Chris Markoff died at 85 on February 10th after suffering a stroke. Markoff, whose real name was Risto Zelevarov, wrestled from the 1960s through the 1980s. His death was announced by longtime Minnesota announcer Mick Karch, who knew Markoff for almost 60 years. Born in Yugoslavia and raised in Minnesota, Markoff began his career in the American Wrestling Association. He also wrestled for the World Wrestling Association, where he won tag team gold alongside Angelo Poffo. Markoff would also go on to appear in NWA as well as the Japan Wrestling Association. In 1981, he joined Jim Crockett Promotions, where he tagged with Nikolai Volkov in a team called the Imperial Russians. WCW's Ice Train, real name Harold Hogue, died at the age of 58 on January 23rd. Diamond Dallas Page announced Hogue's death on social media, but didn't note the cause. Ice Train debuted in WCW in July 1993 on an episode of WCW Worldwide, and became a mid-card fixture in the company. He never won any titles, but he became a fan favorite, joining up with Scott Norton in the tag team Fire and Ice for a time. In 2000, Hogue was repackaged as M.I. Smooth, becoming a member of the New Blood. He was feuding with Kanyon when WWE bought WCW, and he retired from wrestling shortly after the purchase in 2001. Hogue did come out of retirement 18 years later at 52 years old. His last match was on December 21, 2019 for European Wrestling Promotion. He took on Dave Taylor, and the match ended in a no contest. In recent years, Hogue posted weightlifting videos on his Instagram.
One more set, baby.
Joshi wrestler Asahi died at the age of just 21 on February 1st following a reported car accident. She was best known for her time with Ice Ribbon, where she made her debut at just 14. Asahi's contract with Ice Ribbon ended in 2023, and she joined AWG on a 3 to 6 month loan. She ended up becoming a full-time part of the promotion, though. AWG confirmed her death on X, formerly Twitter, posting, "We would like to inform you that Asahi, a member of our company, has passed away due to an unexpected accident." Tributes poured in for the wrestler after her death, with one fan calling her a ray of sunshine. Asahi's last match was a tag team victory on January 31st. She temporarily stepped away from wrestling to focus on school in 2020, but made her comeback the following year. Florida wrestler Frankie Francisco Ciatso, a veteran on the independent scene, died at the age of 48 on January 20th. His cause of death has not been released publicly. He wrestled for many promotions during his career, including TNA, NWA, and more.
At the end of the day, it's Francisco Ciatso's world.
He was also known by many nicknames, such as Journeyman, the Shot Caller, and the Southeast Gangster. Barry Rose, a Florida promoter, shared the news of Ciatso's death in a Facebook post, sending condolences to his family and friends. Ciatso began his career in 1996. He debuted for NWA Florida in May of 2001. He also appeared in Deep South Wrestling and made a few appearances in WWE in the mid-2000s. He was most recently a trainer for the World Wrestling Network, an NWA-affiliated promotion. Anthony Gaines died on February 23rd at the age of just 30. His cause of death also has yet to be revealed. The heartbreaking news was announced on X by Empire State Wrestling, a promotion where he gained much of his popularity. The statement read, "We are devastated to hear of the passing of Anthony Gaines. He was a remarkable performer in the ring who also touched the hearts of many lives outside of it. You will always be loved and never be forgotten. Without a doubt, you were authentically none of a kind." Gaines, whose real name was Anthony Nicomenti Jr., used "none of a kind" as a personal tagline. He debuted in 2014 with Upstate Pro Wrestling and went on to work for Revenge Pro Wrestling, Toronto's Smash Wrestling, and Pro Wrestling Rampage. He rose to viral fame in 2018 at an ESW show when he took a pounce from the much larger Ace Romero and flew right out of the ring. One of the 4 founding members of the original Four Horsemen and one half of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew with his kayfabe brother Gene, Ole Anderson, died at 81 on February 26th. His cause of death has not been revealed, but it was reported in 2007 that the real-life Alan Robert Rogowski had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Anderson worked as a booker for Georgia Championship Wrestling and Jim Crockett Promotions following his wrestling career. He would go on to be part of WCW's executive team and booking committee, forever hating Vince McMahon and the then WWF for his takeover of the territories. Anderson was fired from WCW when Eric Bischoff took over the company, and he retired from professional wrestling in 1996. Mike Jones, better known to wrestling fans as Virgil in WWE and Vincent in WCW, died peacefully at a hospital on the morning of February 28th at the age of 72. His death was announced on Facebook by referee Mark Charles III. Charles noted in an interview with Slam Wrestling that Virgil had 2 strokes in 2023. Jones also confirmed he had dementia in 2022, and he had been battling stage 2 colon cancer. Prior to his health issues, Virgil was often seen at comic and wrestling conventions throughout the country. Virgil began his wrestling career as Soul Train Jones in the Championship Wrestling Association in 1985, before moving on to the then WWF in 1986. He was best known as the bodyguard of Ted DiBiase, but he also was a member of the NWO in WCW. Canadian legend Paul the Butcher Vachon died on February 29th at the age of 86 after having a brain tumor removed in 2023. The adoptive father of the late Luna Vachon suffered from colon and throat cancers, as well as diabetes. Even through his later life struggles, Vachon kept in touch with his fans on his official Facebook page, often sharing health updates. Vachon started in the business in 1957, playing a heel and taking up the Butcher moniker. He spent time in the AWA, WWE, NWA, and Georgia Championship Wrestling. He won the AWA World Tag Team Championships alongside his brother, Mad Dog Vachon.
We decided on the Butcher. It wasn't an animal name, but it was just as diabolical, I guess, as Mad Dog.
Paul retired from wrestling in 1985, going on to run as a federal candidate in Canada 3 times, but never winning. He and his wife also sold therapeutic magnets. All Japan veteran Yutaka Yoshie passed away after suddenly falling ill in the locker room after a match on March 10th. He was 50 years old. All Japan Pro Wrestling announced the news, noting that Yoshie was participating in a tournament before he died. His family confirmed he died of arteriosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries, and stressed Yoshie's death had nothing to do with the match. At the time of his passing, he was wrestling on a freelance basis, which he had been doing since 2006. Yoshie had a background in judo and began his career in the New Japan Dojo in 1994. He debuted at the end of that year, but broke his leg in his second match. Yoshie's first major match came in January 1998 in the Tokyo Dome. He held many championships throughout his career, including the NWA Intercontinental Tag Team Championship in Pro Wrestling 01 and the IWGP Tag Team Championship. Sumo and wrestling star Akebono Taro, who was born as Chadwick Rowan, died at age 54 in the beginning of April. Reports from Japan claimed he died of heart failure, as the former New Japan star had been battling heart issues that made him unable to walk. He also reportedly suffered from partial memory loss, making him unable to remember his time in professional wrestling. Akebono changed his name upon moving to Japan from Hawaii. He became a successful sumo star in the 90s, becoming the first non-Japanese wrestler to achieve the title of Yokozuna, the highest rank in the sport.
Chad was the first. Chad was the first to break that ceiling.
Akebono's first WWE match came in 2005, and he wrestled 3 times for the promotion, including an infamous WrestleMania 21 bout in which he defeated Big Show in a sumo match. Akebono continued to wrestle in All Japan, New Japan, Pro Wrestling 01, and Dragon Gate. He was a 2-time Triple Crown heavyweight champion in All Japan. Akebono retired from wrestling in 2017 due to his health issues. All Pro Wrestling announced the death of its former Universal Heavyweight Champion Shooter Tony Jones on April 14th. He was 53 years old. Jones also wrestled in Ultimate Pro Wrestling and Extreme Pro Wrestling and had stints in WWE, first in 1998. He appeared in March 2007 on an episode of Heat where he faced Eugene. 4 months later, he faced Gene Snitsky. Jones was a notable collegiate wrestler before entering professional wrestling and even competed in several tournaments with Kurt Angle. Jones was best known, though, for his appearance alongside tag partner Mike Modest in Beyond the Mat. Jones and Modest won the APW Universal Tag Team Championships and were named the promotion's Tag Team of the Year in 1998. Bad Bones John Klinger died of a heart attack on May 20th, only days after his final match against Flash Morgan Webster. The German wrestler's death at the age of just 40 was announced by Westside Extreme Wrestling on social media. Klinger started his career with WXW in the early 2000s and was set to retire in September of 2024. He wrestled almost 450 matches in a WXW ring and competed in various other promotions in the United States and Japan, including Progress, ICW, and Evolve. Bad Bones held multiple titles throughout his career, career, including the WXW Unified World Heavyweight Championship and European Heavyweight Championship. He also made appearances in TNA in 2011, 2014, and 2017, facing the likes of Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and EC3. Klinger won the January 2011 edition of TNA Gut Check in London, something the promotion highlighted in its social media tribute to him. WWE Hall of Famer Sika Anoa'i, one half of the Wild Samoans alongside his brother Afa, died on June 25th. In addition to his contributions in the world of professional wrestling, he was also the father of Roman Reigns and late WWE star Rosie. Sika began training in the early 1970s, and he and Afa made their Stampede Wrestling debut in 1973. The Wild Samoans made their way to the WWF in 1980, managed by Captain Lou Albano, and became two-time tag team champions during their initial run. While away from WWF for a few years, the Wild Samoans spent time in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Mid-South, and Georgia Championship Wrestling. Upon returning to WWF in 1983, Afa and Sika regained the WWF Tag Team Championship and reigned for several months that year. Sika returned 3 years later as a singles wrestler before teaming up with Kamala, a partnership that ended when the latter left WWF in 1987. His last televised WWF match was a Battle Royal at WrestleMania 4, his first pay-per-view appearance. Afa Anoa'i was sadly not far behind his brother, dying from a heart attack at age 80 on August 16th. Aside from his long tag team career with Sika, Afa also had a solo stint in WWE that began in 1992, where he managed Rikishi and Samu, the Head Shrinkers. He wrestled his final match in 1994, but as many wrestlers do, he returned for an odd bout here and there following his retirement. His final match happened in 2014 when Afa was 71 in his own promotion, World Extreme Wrestling. British wrestler James Castle died on June 15th at just 35 years old, following a long battle with acute myeloid leukemia. A stalwart of the British independent scene, Castle wrestled for Rev Pro, debuting in a tag team known as the Revolutionists in 2013. He and tag team partner Shaw Samuels won Rev Pro's undisputed tag team championships in June 2015 and held on to the gold for the next year. He also wrestled for IPW, X-Wrestling Alliance, and the Wrestling League, but his career ended in 2019 when he received his initial cancer diagnosis. He held the Wrestling League's heavyweight championship on one occasion. The Anarchist was one of the first students to train at the Rev Pro Portsmouth School and the first wrestler trained from scratch to get featured on the promotion's main shows. Castle revealed in January that the leukemia had returned, and doctors told him that it was terminal. Big Cat Scott Henson, a veteran of the wrestling scene in British Columbia, died at the age of 40 on June 15th. The news of his death was confirmed by Canadian Apex Wrestling, who called the former tag team champion a driving force behind many fellow wrestlers' careers. Henson's career started in backyard wrestling in 2000. He later wrestled in Elite Canadian Championship Wrestling and became the Solid Steel champion in the 3-2-1 battle promotion. Henson was known for coming out to the ring wearing gloves that looked like paws. In addition to being heavily involved in the Pacific Northwest wrestling scene, Henson was also a podcaster and gamer, appearing on the podcast The Worst Year of Our Lives alongside his tag team partner Sarian Softpaws.
Hello, I'm Scott, that's Drew, and welcome to just a quiet little anime podcast.
The Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, died at the age of 74 following complications from emergency surgery on August 9th. Sullivan reportedly suffered an accident in May while at a Florida autograph signing. He underwent emergency surgery that saved his leg at the time, but contracted sepsis and encephalitis. Sullivan was never trained professionally, but went on to lead the Three Faces of Fear and the Dungeons of Doom, both stables that caused problems in the ring for Hulk Hogan in WCW in the 90s. Before that, he wrestled for Championship Wrestling from Florida and Jim Crockett Promotions. Sullivan was a booker as well as a wrestler.
I used to book a year out, and I could adjust after 3 months.
He was also known for being involved heavily in backstage politics, feuding both personally and professionally with Chris Benoit and Brian Pillman. His final match was fittingly against Brian Pillman Jr. in 2019. Sid Vicious, also known as Sid Justice and Psycho Sid, died at age 63 on August 26th. He had been battling cancer for several years, according to his son, who announced his father's death on Facebook. Vicious died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but had previously battled heart issues as well. Vicious, whose real name was Sid Vicious, was a multiple-time champion in both the WWF and WCW. After his passing, many of his peers, including Ric Flair and Sting, paid tribute. Vicious debuted in 1987 and went on to become a 6-time world champion. He won the WWE Championship twice, as well as the WCW World Heavyweight Championship on 2 occasions. Vicious headlined WrestleMania in 1992 and 1997, as well as Starrcade in 2000. His final match came on August 5, 2017, when he defeated Paul Rosenberg in Canada for Great North Wrestling. His final WWE match was in June 2012, when he returned as Psycho Sid to defeat Heath Slater. Empire Wrestling Federation's Liger Rivera died on October 22nd, just days before his 38th birthday. He was reportedly hospitalized and put into a medically induced coma. The cruiserweight debuted in 2001 and retired in 2018. He held the EWF American Championship in 2010, as well as the promotion's cruiserweight title and tag team championship, alongside TJ Perkins. Rivera also wrestled under a mask as Batmanuel in another California-based independent promotion, Hood Slam. EWF put together a YouTube tribute to Rivera, and many of his peers memorialized him as well. Among them was Raw general manager Adam Pearce, who posted that it was always a pleasure to share a locker room with Rivera. EWF partnered with the NWA for a series of shows from 2006 to 2012. Pearce and Rivera both worked those shows. A legend of lucha libre and the Mysterio family, Rey Misterio Sr., uncle of WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio, died at age 66 on December 20th. AAA broke the news on X, announcing that Mysterio, real-life name Miguel Angel Lopez Diaz, had passed away. Mysterio held many championships throughout his career, including 7 in Tijuana wrestling, once as the American champion and 3 times as one half of the Tijuana Tag Team Champions. Mysterio and his nephew, the future Rey Mysterio, would win the WWA World Tag Team Championships while he was in AAA. He officially retired in 2009, but unsurprisingly came out of retirement multiple times in the 2020s, with his last match occurring in 2023.